Hello everyone. So this is the second video in our Learning the Server series, and in this video we are gonna do hands-on with nginx. So if you're not aware of what nginx is, I would recommend see the first video where I have explained in detail what are web servers, how web servers differ from application servers, and nginx is a web server. Now, assuming you have seen the previous video and you are aware of what web servers are, nginx is a kind of a web server. So in this video, we will do some hands-on look into some deep dives configs of nginx, and yeah, let's get started. So I'm using Ubuntu operating system, but the concepts will be pretty much the same for all the OS. For Mac, the commands will be pretty much the same. But if you're using any other OS like Windows, Fedora, or any other OS, any other version of Linux, any other distro of Linux, make sure you cross check the commands on Google. But yeah, the concepts will be pretty much the same. Anyways, let's get started. So the first thing you have to do is install nginx. It's just few simple commands. Just Google it or go to ChatGPT. So once you download it, and then you can follow through the commands, follow through the steps that I give over here. Now, assuming you have downloaded it, we can get started. So the first thing that we will do is we'll go to this folder called etc. And if we list down the folders in the etc, there are a lot of folders here. One of the folders would be nginx. So I'll just do cd nginx. Now, if you see, my path is etc slash nginx. Now, nginx folder is set up here once you install the nginx in your OS. Now, if I do ls, there are again a lot of folders. Now, while you're getting started with nginx, one of the folders you have to be most concerned with is this one, sites available. The other folders, yes, they are definitely have the role to play, but just to get started with, this folder should be enough for now. But later on, if you want to do more deep dive into it, then you can look into other folders as well. And anyways, let's go to sites available. Within sites available, you will see a file called default. Now, this is an important file. Nginx refers to this file whenever a request is routed to it. So we'll open this file. You can use any editor to open this file. So if you're using Ubuntu, there are various editors like Nano, Vim. So for my use case, I simply use gedit, and I can open this file within this editor. So now you will see a lot of commands here. Now in Ubuntu configs, whenever you see anything that starts with hash, that means it's commented out. So like in your code, you can comment out the code. In this configs, you can comment out the particular lines using this hash keyword. So whatever is in hash, we'll just ignore it. Uh, we will just simply go through the commands that matter. So here is the server. That means my server configuration starts from here, and it's listening on port 80. It is the default server. So there has to be a default server, at least one. Not at least one, there can be only one default server. So right now this is the default server. And if we come down here you will see the two files. One is root and there is some path. Then there is index, again there is some path. So root signifies what is the root folder whenever request comes to nginx. So this root folder signifies what is the root folder, where will that request come. And this index specifies which is the default file to be referred to. So, like in HTML, if you have done any HTML, you will see there's an index.html there. So this index refers, and this index is referred by nginx to refer as the default file that nginx can provide. And we provide the paths against these folders. Now here you will see the path as where www.html. So first let's look into this path. So let's open another terminal. I will go to this path slash var www html. Now, you can define any path, you can specify any other path as well, but it's a kind of a convention that we typically place our folder files in this typical path where www slash html. Now, if you see here, I have created two folders. One is site1, site2. This file I had created for some test purpose. I don't need it. And this file is there by default once you install nginx. So now I created two folders here, site1, site2. What they are doing, we will look into it. But if you are creating any file or a folder here, you will have to give write permissions. In Ubuntu, Google on the chown command, chown, and using some permissions, you can give the right permissions to your user. Just Google it, you will simply find it, or just ask ChatGPT, it will give you the exact command. Anyways, assuming you have the right permission here, now let's go back to our config. So my root is saying here, this is the root folder, and my index is saying here, this is the index file. That means site1 slash index.html. So if I go to my site1, you will see there is an index.html file. So that means if I refer to this port 80, the nginx will go to this folder, and within this folder, it will look for this file, and whatever this file is serving, it will let us know. Now, after doing all these configurations and everything, what you have to do is do an nginx restart. So there are different ways to restart nginx. This is the simplest one. Okay, sudo service, maybe it's nginx first. Okay, now it has restarted. It hasn't thrown any error. That means it has restarted. Now I will simply go to my browser and I will type in here as localhost. So this means this is site1. So where is this? This is site1 coming from. If I go to my var folder within this www html site1, if I open this file, now this is the code that is written in the index.html in the site1 folder. This is what this browser is showing. So now let me give you the port localhost 80. It's still showing this is site 81. Now why is this happening? Because this is the default server. If this was not the default server, then I had to give the localhost 80 specifically. If I wouldn't have given the localhost 80, it would have not worked. Now let's come back to our configuration file, and over here you will see I have defined one more server here. So this is one server, and over here there is one more server, and its port is 81, and it is referring to site2, the another folder that I had mentioned before. Yes, here it is site2. So another server is referring to the site2 folder. And now this is not the default folder. This is not the default server. So here I have to specifically give the port 81. Now, if I make this one as the default server, then here I have to specify the port as 80. And again, it's quite simple. I will give the folder path as 81, and it's displaying as this is site2. So in this way, you can specify as many as servers you want for different folders. So if you have multiple projects and multiple repositories, so you can specify for them different ports. So now this was about how do we do the nginx in our local. In the next video, we will go to next step, that is how do we do the nginx on a cloud server provider like AWS. So that will be the focus of the next video. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful. Give me a shout out, do subscribe, and yeah, stay tuned for more interesting videos. Thank you.